Hello, I am AK and welcome to AK Reacts. And if you want more, please leave a comment and subscribe to the channel. So, the pauses are going to be there. I'm just gonna keep them short, or I'm going to try to. For more information, stick around for the end of the video, Afterthought, for a bit more depth on how it works in my case. First of all, go watch the original video, like it and share it. Look for the links in the description, I'm gonna put them there. I know who Zach Hazard and Mike Burns Fire are. Love the Fallout series of the videos they do, and Zach Guns Rants are just where I first met their channel for the first time. And I am kind of a gun enthusiast. I also worked in an armory in my conscription, as I am kind of interested in this topic, right? And just by familiarity. But I haven't watched the Campfire stories, which are like so many, so I just want to dig into it. By the way, this is a new channel, so do feel free to subscribe and like, share, and support the channel, all that jazz. So, the anger management Campfire stories. And to be honest, honestly, this might be where I went to basic training, like genuinely. You see this Fallout New Vegas scene? The sand, coarse dirt, and just fire on cinder blocks. I've been in this exact situation, like genuinely picture to picture, one to one. Let's start.
This chief, the one that I had to bring a different beret for, and the one that I had to constantly make sure my boots were polished for, that one was the same one that I got sent to anger management for, because I told him that he was a fuckhead and he would be dead and gone before he would get any of the cabinets that I had.
Wow.
I'm sorry, did you say cabinets? Were you hoarding cabinets as well?
No, I had done my on-the-job training. I had gone to my actual unit, and the Army, in its infinite wisdom, had decided to send me to a forward support company. The way a forward support company worked is now, instead of having all this expertise that you can pull from a whole shop filled with mechanics or a whole shop filled with armors, you now have one armor. Private First Class Zach.
You were in charge of everything.
Who has spent 3 weeks as on-the-job training. And that's all the experience yet. I had no idea how to fill out the correct forms. I knew how to fix guns. I didn't know how to fill out forms. I didn't know how to get things. I didn't know what kind of parts I was going to need to order.
Yeah, honestly, this is like par for the course in the entire military segment of almost every country, right? They don't know how you're gonna just work it, but you're there, you're just assigned there, and you need to do the job. And you don't really get to know all of this before failing at them. Like, you need to just learn from the mistakes, and you won't learn if you don't make the mistakes, and you are bound to make the mistakes, all right? You won't learn it until you fail at it. That's like the general consensus of how you're going to need to go for this.
Okay. And they basically went, figure it out.
Exactly, figure it out.
So when I got to the company that I was in, immediately there are unit armors coming to me and saying, I need this fixed, I need this fixed, I need this fixed. I have 24 M4s that need to be gauged. I have all these things that are broken, and I need this fixed. And I'm like, cool, I don't have any parts, I don't have any gauges, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm inside this brick building. I had to go through every manual for every weapon that was used by the 6 infantry companies I'm supposed to support.
6 companies.
I had to go through every manual, look at every weapon, and go, I'll probably need this part, and I'll probably need this part, and I'll probably need this one. I don't think I'll need this part. I had to guess at all this stuff. So I came up with this massive, and it took me months. I came up with a massive list of parts that I was going to need in quantities of things. I ordered all those parts, and then the parts got to me in cardboard boxes and plastic envelopes. And I have no way to organize these parts. I didn't go to college.
Yes,
I went into the military. So I have no idea how to organize a whole part system. Anytime someone's like, oh, Zach's so dumb, I'm just like, you have no idea the amount of fucking work I have. That's one of the reasons I'm so lazy now, is because I put everything into doing this stuff while I was in the military.
Honestly, same. I am very lazy as well. I was maybe very motivated while I was in the conscription and in the military stuff, because I was there. I just wanted to do it because it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, kind of, right? Yeah, and there's almost never anything better to do, so might as well do the job, learn a couple of things from it. But about one of the things he said, organizing a part system, yeah, that's going to college doesn't actually help you with that, like at all. I went through all of the same like stuff, the learning stuff, the curves and all of that. It just wasn't applicable. No college or university is going to prepare you for the incompetency that is going to be befallen onto you, all right?
You really had to bust your ass.
I had to, oh my god. It's one of the reasons I started smoking and having really bad anxiety attacks. I don't have PTSD from being in Iraq. I have PTSD from being at Fort Polk and having to run a forward support company by myself. In any other unit?
This is genuinely just the same. We have like a trinity out of our own conscription that we, the conscripts, used to say. There are only three always true statements about conscription. One, you're going to go hungry. That's just a given. Two, you're going to end up with a nicotine addiction. I've been there, done that. And third, you are going to have some self-deletion thoughts, because it is a forced conscription, right? You get into very bad situations, and the underlying reason for all of this is you were just born in this country and it's illegal to not to go to this, right? This is just it's luck of the draw, I guess. So yeah, nicotine addiction, been there, done that. Yeah, saw that.
The job I was in would have been a warrant officer position. I was an E3.
You weren't even an E4 yet. You were just an E3.
I was an E3 holding the position of a warrant officer. I was like,
I don't know, I guess I can fix these guns for you, but I mean, really, you're supposed to do this paperwork.
and then eventually it got to a point where I was just big bad angry Zach, where I was just like, no, you can go fuck yourself, Sergeant. I'm not fixing any of your shit because you don't have the fucking paperwork.
That does happen. Like, I was working in an armory, and sometimes people would just come in, just give me the equipment themselves, and like, yeah, fix this yourself. And you're just required to have like so many documentation and paperwork for all of this. So if you miss any of this, it's just on you, because you shouldn't have accepted the equipment in the first place. Because you need to have the paperwork that the guy has like given you this equipment, this is at this time, this date, for this purpose, like cleaning, gauging, zeroing, repairing, whatever and anything, right? If you have checked these in, but the guy didn't check them out and you are having these without any like permits or any sort of like signing in those equipment situations, there's not much of a difference between you just having them and you stealing it from the guy, right? Because the guy didn't like sign anything, so it's just out of his hands. He just lost the equipment and you were found with lost equipment. That's just a very big accusation, just because someone was lazy and didn't want to give you out the forms that you needed, right? And the first guys out of this situation is going to be that guy. Like, I don't know what happened to it. I don't remember giving it to him. Why does he have my equipment? And it just falls onto you, right? So it's just a lot of problem that could have been just handled differently if everyone stuck their rules and everyone could go along their way very better and faster, right?
So I got all these parts ordered. They sent a bunch of the wrong ones. I don't know what the hell I'm doing with all these parts. They're just sitting in cardboard boxes, and anytime I need to get a part, I have to dig through cardboard boxes until you need a new hammer for your M16? Cool. This is going to take me about 2 hours to find this one because I don't know where the hell it is in this mess. I got so frustrated with having to dig through these cardboard boxes. I'm like, fine, I need cabinets.
Did you purchase these cabinets with your own funds? Or?
No, I purchased them with the funds that was allotted to our unit for that fiscal year.
Okay. Thank God you didn't have to pay for them with this, right?
Cabinets get sent to the wrong company. Cool. All right. Well, I have to go get these cabinets now. So I go to sign on a 5-ton truck so that I can go pick up these cabinets.
All right. Ooh, way more involved than I thought.
I feel like I have to tell you all the effort that went into these cabinets so you can understand why I did what I did.
Okay. Once I have the backstory, you refusing to surrender cabinets might make more sense.
Yes.
The journey is important.
I gotta go get a 5-ton to go pick up these cabinets. I go to get a 5-ton. There's no 5-tons available. What do you mean there's no 5-tons available? There's like 25 tons sitting out there. Nope, we don't have a single one that you can drive. Besides, do you even have a permit to drive that? Of course I do. My shop is on the back of one. Why don't you just use the truck that your shop is on? I can't do that because the shop weighs 7.5 tons and the cabinets don't fit in the door of the shop that's on the back of the truck. Well, we don't have any trucks for you to use. Fine.
The guy that just was lazy and didn't want to handle the extra paperwork, so you had to just go along your way, huh? That does happen. A lot of people just are way too inclined not to help you. They want to just make problems for you. That's just a given. Honestly, like, no one wants extra work, and you sound enough extra work for someone to not even bother.
So I walk a mile down to Bravo, because if I drive my car down there and I get a truck at Bravo Company, then I'm gonna have to drive the truck back. And
you walked down to Bravo Company where the cabinets were delivered because you figured maybe they had a truck you could use.
Maybe they had a truck I could use. They have a truck.
Hooray!
Thank you for being nicer to me than my own company will. Clementine will remember this.
Walking Dead.
I find someone with a forklift.
Yeah, the Walking Dead thing. Clementine will remember this.
To pick up the cabinets and put them in the bed of the truck. I drive the truck back to my motor pool. I bring them outside my office. We don't have a forklift. Now the cabinets have to come off the truck. I had to get like 20 people to help me pick up these cabinets and put them on the ground outside of my shop. Now I have to figure out how to get them in my shop. They don't fit in the door.
No!
Aww.
Well, actually, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. They fit in the door, but only if I take all of the drawers out.
Like you
Okay.
need to lighten them up?
That's better anyway, because you're going to move the cabinet anyway.
Yeah,
Why
you
not
need to
take
like
out the drawers?
Take out
divide
the drawers,
everything
get
and
the
all
cabinets
that.
put in my shop. They got nice little drawers in them, and I can put little things. It's like the inside of a tackle box in these cabinets. You pull the drawer out, and they got a bunch of dividers in there, and you just put the parts in it.
Yeah.
If I needed a part, I could look at the list that I had made on my own personal computer, on Excel, on the massive 300 plus page document that listed what the NSN for the part was, what the name for the part was, how many of them I had, and what drawer and slot they were in.
Okay, that is a bit weird, like different, not weird. We weren't allowed any sort of electronic devices, like at all. So having a personal computer, and Zach said his own personal computer, so not the military one, not any sort of issued one to his company or something. His own, that's like a really big red flag for us. Like, it cannot be happening or something like that. Every computer needs to be like connected to the system, and no other computer that is outside the system has to have any sort of military record or something. So even if it's inside base or inside some camp or something, you're not allowed to have any sort of digital device that you were not authorized for. Like, even smartphones are like very regulated. Like, if they catch you on camera working with them, for the conscripts, it's definitely a really bad thing. Like, you get extra time, 3 days of extra service time without pay. And if you were caught like mid-job or mid-guard duty or anything with that, you might actually have to serve a sentence. So basically go to jail, usually for like 1 or 2 days. But I have seen people go to it like up to 10 days because they were like caught by in the job by an inspector, not being aware of their surroundings or anything. That does happen. So digital stuff, very big no-go on everywhere I've served. So we wouldn't be caught using our own personal computers for these stuff.
You went so far above and beyond what was expected of you. If you had the chance to go back in time, would you tell yourself not to give so much of an effort? Because you worked your ass off and you never even made the rank of sergeant.
Yeah, if I could go back in time and talk to past me, I would be like, look, just don't do anything. Brush it off.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're lucky, they'll send you to a not forward support company because they'll think you're unreliable.
If you keep working this hard, they're going to find you irreplaceable. They're never going to promote you. You're stuck. Be a lazy piece of shit.
Yeah, being an indispensable individual is kind of a double-edged sword. You are so good at a job that you will never get changed, but you will also never get changed, so never getting promoted to a better place or anything. So you're stuck where you are. Yeah, that does happen. In conscription, we don't get promoted. Like you are unranked when you start, and when you finish your basic training, you get stuck with a rank. Those ranks really doesn't mean much, but you're stuck with that rank without any chance of like being promoted in it until your end of service. That's it. So no promotions either in the conscription.
Started doing that towards the end of my military career. I just started being a lazy piece of trash and I didn't care anymore. Anyway,
if only you had started earlier.
This is great. I finally have an organization for all my parts.
It only took you 4 weeks to get this set up.
2 months, and then probably another 3 weeks after that, getting all the parts put into all the bins and organized by like size and what weapon system they go to. Top drawers for M9 parts, second drawers for M4 parts, next drawers for M4 parts, drawer after that is M16 and 249 parts. I finally have my full bench stock list on a computer. Everything is available. Someone can come in.
If you've ever like opened up a rifle or assault rifle or anything, you know that there's like so many small different parts that like need to work together perfectly, and there's a lot of them in like a similar armory, and he said he got like 6 different companies giving him weapons, so there's a lot of them. You need to have like so many parts at the ready. I wasn't usually in charge of like repairing them because the parts wouldn't come to us. I was my armory was stationed in a precinct, so police officers in a big precinct that was like in a rural countryside type of thing, but we were the base of operations for like a lot of different ones. So we did have like some of the weapons that they would maybe use, and we had like some sort of ammunition depots and stuff, but it wasn't like very big or anything or something very weird. So yeah, we had like designated parts sections, but usually it was like for cleaning the stuff, for diagnosing the stuff, for general manual repairs. You would just send them back to like command for like inspections of and stuff, and they were kind of common. Like each 3 to 6 months we had to like recount ammo because some of them might have gone past their expiration dates, and you had to change them out because they genuinely make like a lot of misfires or jammings. It does happen with a lot of those ammunitions.
And say, hey, the spring broke for my M16. And before they're finished with the sentence, I can say, excellent, I have 6 of them. Here is your part, sign here, here, and here.
And
so
everything
organized.
will work smoothly like clockwork.
Yeah.
I can't even tell you how happy I was with the setup. And then Chief came into my shop and looked lustfully at my cabinets. And his heart, yea, it was filled with avarice.
Avarice?
Greed.
Ah, yes.
Hey, Hathbeat, open that cabinet.
Give it an accent?
No, that's how he talked. He referred to everyone as
that's
high
actually
speed,
how
and
he
he
talked.
talked with a really bad lisp.
Oh, okay.
Then the really nice cabinet. Yes, they are, Chief. It took me a long time to get them. I remember I put the order in.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to finally get these in here. Those are really nice cabinets, Hathbeat. I think I'm going to need them. No, Chief, I just ordered these cabinets. I need them. I have all my parts in them. Hathbeat, I'm going to need them cabinets to put Humvee parts in. The Humvee parts aren't going to fit in there.
Yeah.
The drawers are too small for Humvee parts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Like Humvees are like generally big machines. Like we don't have Humvees per se, but we have like these cars named Nopos. Those are like our SWAT teams, like all blacked out, big ass, like like fenced around like a car. They do like look like a bit like Humvees. And they're like very extremely big. They have like mounted weapons on top and all that. They look similar, but in cabinets, I don't think any of the parts would actually be. Maybe the guns parts might be able to, but nothing like engines and manifolds or stuff like that would be able to. What does he mean by Humvee parts? Let's just continue.
So it ended up devolving into, from a conversation of, no, Chief, you cannot have these cabinets. I just ordered these. I need them. Into, Chief, you can go fuck yourself, and I'm going to punch you in the goddamn face if you don't get the fuck out of my shop.
I think maybe we missed a step or two here.
Eventually, it resulted in me calling him an idiot and telling him that he would be dead and gone before he would ever lay a fucking finger on any of my cabinets.
I feel like there might be some fallout from
And he
that.
said, we'll see about that high speed, and walked out. At which point I grabbed the pencil mount for a 50 caliber machine gun and threw it through a metal wall locker. I shot putted a 6-pound chunk of metal so hard into a metal cabinet that it punched a hole through it.
So you damaged your own cabinet that you just received?
Oh, no. This was a different cabinet. This was just like a metal wall locker.
Okay. Did anybody see you do this violent act?
Yes. My squad leader came to talk to me, and he said, you should not have done what you just did. And I said, oh, gee, no shit, you fucking think?
And for opinion
So
per
you're at that
pound,
point
oh.
where you know you fucked up,
Yeah.
and you're just wondering, what's happening now?
I had to go talk to the company commander. I got chewed out. When I came back, my cabinets were gone and all my parts were on the floor in cardboard boxes.
damn.
Again,
Of course,
so
yeah.
I had to order more cabinets. As it turns out, what happened was better than I ever could have imagined. They sent me to anger management.
Oh,
I got to anger
mandated
management.
therapy.
And sitting in anger management is a staff sergeant, a captain, a lieutenant, a warrant officer, a major, a staff sergeant, a
All
staff
very
sergeant,
high-
a staff sergeant.
These are all very high-ranking members.
These are all people who are
Yeah.
much higher ranking than me. And then E4 Zach.
Oh, you had been promoted in between the...
Oh, sorry. Was I an E4 at this time? I can't remember if I was an E4 or an E3. So everyone has to talk about why they were there, and it's, well, my name's Sergeant so-and-so, and I punched one of my soldiers in the face because he wouldn't stop mouthing off to me. Seems reasonable to me.
Seems reasonable that you would be here, not reasonable that you would punch one of your soldiers for mouthing off?
If that seems reasonable to me, I can understand that happening.
Yeah, it happens.
Everyone's going around and talking about what they did wrong. They get to me, and I said, my name is E4 Zach. I'm here because I told my chief warrant officer to go fuck himself and that I thought he was a massive piece of shit. Okay, that's weird. Why is there an E4 in here? While I'm in anger management, someone from my company calls me and asks why I'm not in my shop fixing weapons. And at which point I didn't even reply, I just snapped my phone in half. In anger management. This, put the phone down on the table. This is why I'm here. And I just remember several of these other officers just looking at me like, I understand. I feel like they said it was anger management, but I'm pretty sure it was a incompetence of Fort Polk support group.
Yeah.
It's just where they send the people that
Probably you
can't
can
deal with
rant
the
in peace.
incompetence at Fort Polk. They just send them here so they can all just talk to each other about how fucked everything was.
Exactly.
Good to vent.
I ended up going to anger
The best
management for
therapy
like 4 or
available
5
from me.
months. I have no proof of this, but I'm wondering if when I had told my chief to go fuck himself, if they were like, we've got to kick him the fuck out of the military. And then they went, wait, if we kick him out, we don't have anybody to fix guns. Shit!
And that was the first time that you had job security.
Yeah.
That's the exact point we made. Like, being indispensable make sure that you will never get a better place, but you will never go down. Because, yeah, he will have
I'm
the
99%
job yet.
positive that I could have gotten away with pretty much anything while I was in the military because I was the only one they had to fix guns.
You never took advantage of this, though.
I did, just in weird ways.
When you started off the story, I figured there'd be a happy ending. You made a spectacle of yourself, damaged some machinery, and he said, whoa, okay, you can keep them, and walked away. No, you had to get new cabinets. You had to order a second pair of cabinets.
Had to order a second pair of cabinets. Fortunately, these ones actually showed up at my motor pool,
Well, that's good at least.
but I still didn't have a forklift to take them off the back of the truck.
Oh boy, many hands make light work.
Yeah. Well, on the plus side, though, when I would go to anger management, we would do relaxation techniques, and I would get to fall asleep.
Ah.
So sometimes anger management just meant nap time.
Oh boy. I'm glad this story had a happy ending after all.
Alright, now that's the end of the video. That was fun. That was extremely fun. It kind of reminded me of my own military days. It's just... So, this is the end of the video, so this part counts as the afterthoughts of this video. So if you want to click off, please do. But first off, make sure to like and subscribe to the original creators. And if you like the video, do the same for me. But don't forget the original creators of the video. And I'm gonna just talk about some of the points that kind of came to my mind, but I wanted to let it be for the afterthoughts. Some of these are going to be just basic stuff you kind of need to know before any of this makes sense, but as it's just we just go along the way, just giving you some more information. I was in the military police force as a conscript, of course. It's compulsory by the law for every Iranian born male over the age of 18 to apply for the conscription program, right? So as you reach age of 18, you have to apply for it, or you get this penalty for each year that you miss your applying, you miss the applying window. Yeah, you have to serve for 3 months more. Usually it's about 2 years. Mine was 21 months. That is with basic training. Usual time of basic training is about 2 months. My basic training, as I said, was this exact situation that you're seeing Zach and Mike's avatars or characters in Fallout New Vegas said. Mine was in the middle of a desert. It's actually one of the hottest point surface temperatures of this earth. You can search it up. It's the Lut Desert of Iran. It's so cold at nights and so hot at mornings and noons. It's just weird. It was just so hard just trying to do guard duty in that situation. At night duties were freezing cold, and morning duties were very hot, and that kept until afternoons. That's something normal for there. So the military programs, all of the conscripts that applied for it have to go to a boot camp, and every one of those is it can be different groups, because if you apply for the conscription program, after a while you get a letter back that says where you're supposed to go after your basic training and stuff. You don't actually choose any of these. They choose which branch and unit you serve with, so it's just random. There are some exceptions, if you have a higher degree of learning over the masters and doctorates, especially in medical fields. You get to work in hospitals for your duration of service, or just works at some offices that kind of correlate with your degree, right? But for a bachelor like me, I just went to university and then signed up for the program. It didn't matter at all for the conscripts that are soldiers and not working in any offices in any capability. They have to go through all the things that you kind of think of, right? They have to work the heavy shifts, the night shifts, the guard duties, weapon services, cleaning duties, all of that. It's it's being a soldier, right? Conscripts and soldiers are the same thing, because the ones that go to the military for the job, they are called officers, different referrings. Officer itself is a rank, but they all are generally kind of called upon as officers, and soldiers and conscripts are the same. The ones that are there for their service duty, or the ones that went through there for a job. As far as the services go, there are 3 main branches that you could kind of fall into. The easiest would be the Guard Corps, no question, everyone kind of agrees upon that. The Army and the Military Police Force, the MPs. The MP and Army, I think, are kind of equal in difficulty. Sure, the Guard Corp is extremely easy, but Army and Military Police, it's just way harder, to be honest, because some of the harder jobs on these two is just shared. For example, the job of a border guard is done by the military police and the army. So some parts a military police might have jurisdiction, and a precinct of an area would be under their jurisdiction, or sometimes it would be done by like an army base or some just guard watchtowers along the border, right? These two have like the most like dangerous situations to be in, because, you know, borders, right? And of course, they have like this extremely long duration of basic training. They have to like work with guns for much longer, because the chances of them shooting it is much higher than other people, right? They have to like see the smugglers and just border crossings, illegal aliens, and that might have and be might be armed or not. There's just a lot of caveats. The usual like basic training time of theirs is like 4 months extra added on top of the basic 2 months. That's like the general one, but they do get better pay as a kind of a risk award or something. And they serve for less time, like they get like 6 months of reduced total service time, and just remember that 6 months of that time that is remaining, like a year and a half about, 6 months of that is going to be just basic training too. So you're technically just serving with your units in just for one year, and that's it. And the worst of the worst jobs you could kind of end up with in conscription is kind of unilaterally agreed upon, that is like the prison conscripts, because you technically eat and sleep where the exact prisoners are, because a prison complex in Islamic Republic of Iran is just run by a couple of officers and a lot of soldiers, like 1-to-1 for every prisoner that is there. There's going to be a conscript just doing guard duties, cleaning duties, washing dishes. There's a lot of that going around, right? Conscripts are kind of like viewed upon like second-hand citizens of sorts, second-hand citizens for the military, right? They just get caught up with a lot of like heavy lifting stuff. They're the heavy workforce that's just underpaid always, because the pays are just very bad. All right, you wouldn't like use it for anything else other than like in buying some stuff to eat or just cigarettes for smoking. It's not a good kind of like system to fall into, but it's one that works for a lot of people, so they do it, right? And there's a lot of like clauses for like the amount of time you serve. Like it could be subject to change based on like if applicants are just too many for a year. There's like I think on medium there's about 2 million like conscripts, between 1 to 2 million conscripts in service in like major parts of the country. That includes like prison camp guards, the border crossing guards, or someone that works in an office that is also a conscript. You know what I mean? Those are all just conscripts, and all of them kind of number up to about 1 to 2 million. By some estimates, I've kind of had to search these up. There's about 800,000 applicants each year. So the total numbers are like between 1 to 2 millions. It's subject to change. If the applicants are too many for a fiscal year, they reduce the total service time for everyone. So instead of like 2 years, it changes to 21 months or just 19 or 18 months based on the number of people that are there, right? You also have like away from homes clauses that states that if you are if your place of residence is at least like 140 miles or 200 kilometers away from your own residence, you have to serve about 3 months less, and that's because like you don't get to go home because it's just too far away. So so you get like kind of given some leeway so you can go home sooner after your service is done. And all of these are like subjects that happen to you while you're there. I got like reduced sentences of 3 months at like end of my conscription. I was bound for 24 months of full service. Then the applicants kind of rose, and they just called out, yeah, anyone that's like within like the last few months of them know that the 3 extra months of service has been reduced from you. And I was like at there just waiting for my last 4 months, and it turned out, whoa, I think I'm just going to be finished at this end of this month, because that's my complete service. I'm out. I'm just done. It was a very happy occurrence, to be honest, because I didn't believe it at first. Like we were like shorthanded on staff all the time, and somehow they said, oh, it's gonna be too many people now, so you can get to go home. I was just happy, honestly. I was like, sure, it's not gonna be not my monkey, not my circus, right? I'm just gonna be out of it, so it doesn't matter to me anymore. And so you might just ask the question at any point that what happens if you don't go like to conscription? The end of service card that you get, that's the important part about like conscription at all, because the card might not sound important, but it's used for like so many niche things that you kind of need them to just make your life easier. That's just how you kind of need to go at it, because it's used like for some weird stuff, like applying for like government offices or jobs requires you to have like finished your service and apply as your resume kind of arrives there. You have to like have the copy of your military conscription service being ended, the card or just some permit that states the exact same thing, and give it to those offices to even actually consider you for that applying for that position, right? You might need it for insurance for every type, like yourself, your job, or kind of like a house or car. Any sort of insurance needs that. You might need it for like driver's licenses, or to even like open your own shop and all of that. You need it for all of these. Also for like passports, passports will require you to have like finished your military service. If you want to go abroad without like a passport, you need to have like something put down, given to the bank, like the certificate of a house, a car, something that has monetary value, and they would actually like confiscate it if you didn't come back. That's like the rule about it, right? These kind of can be circumvented one way or another, like the passport thing for like religious destinations. You can just apply for a temporary visa or a temporary passport. That works, just to go there and do your religious duties and come back. That's just permitted in so many like instances. There are more niche and caveats to use, like for the driving licenses that I said. I remember people would just sign up for a course at a university, get a learner's permit, which is like something that you can use to delay your service, or use it at sometimes as a way to like get permits for like driving licenses. You would give that to the driving officer and say, oh, I'm currently studying, so I don't need to be a conscript. I'm exempt from that for this duration. And they would say, yeah, that kind of works. The permit works for that. You for like having your own shops and all of that, you could like take it in other people's name to just say that, yeah, he's my coworker or something, or he's not in at the moment, but yeah, he works here, and the permit could be like in his name, right? I was also given the anger management and therapy sessions. They were mandated for me. I was actually like when I was like applying for the military and the conscription program as a whole, I was asked to go through like medical checkups and all of that. I had to like get my vaccines, show them the permits and certificates that I have done these, and they would do a total checkup of the body, see if there's anything that would impair you from doing it, do some mental stuff and all that, mental checkups and all that. And considering the country of Iran is prefaced with the name Islamic Republic, there are some things that by Islamic law are not generally favorably looked upon, one of them being tattoos. as I had like a couple of tattoos on my body, they just looked at it and said, oh yeah, you have mental problems. Like, that was genuinely it. The doctor wrote down on my paper that I had to give to the military, how should I say this? Self-deletion marks. That's how they kind of counted tattoos at, self-deletion marks, right? It was stupid. I can't say the actual word because YouTube, but it was very stupid. And for that, I was counted as a unsafe individual to carry firearms. So basic training meant I went through entirety of the basic training without like shooting a single round of like ammunition, and they expected me to serve in the military for the duration of it. And as I was sent to my own unit, I was working like beside the armory, and kind of my job was like checking in equipment and just writing it out and all that, making sure the weapons were empty, safe, the ammunition was good. As I said, we kind of had to check for all of that. And on the job, I actually got way more like training with the weapons than I ever could in basic training. And during one of those days that we were training with them, a new batch of equipment just came in. And so we had to like organize all of this, and we had like so many weapons in a vault of some sorts, a big ass vault with like heavy ass door that only was operable by 2 persons in the entire precinct and all that. So we got all of these equipment and we had to like carry them down. We hadn't had looked upon them at all. So I just came in and like any day and said, whoa, what's all of this? And it says, oh, new equipment. You want to open them up? The armorer said to me, and the officer of the armory actually. I said, yeah, sure, let's see what we got and how we should like just kind of organize them, right? I knew like there was a kind of in our big armory, there was like a lot of different weapons that only those that had the certificates or were operating or was an operator for that weapon could actually use. So we had to have them ready to give out to other units if they actually needed it from us. So we went down to the armory, and usually there's like assault rifles, a couple of machine guns, not really used, but you know, a couple of people might have certificates for them or are allowed to use them, so they were there, right? The new batch of equipment that came in had an RPG-7, and RPG-7 was designated to a precinct headquarters. Like, which unit was asking for like an RPG? Like, still baffles me to this day. Like, who needs an RPG? This is not something police force is supposed to use, right? And we were like not a border guard or anything. We weren't even like close to the border at all. So it was a pretty weird one. We had like PKMs, the SG-43, or the ones that we kind of call Grivinov, the Grivinov machine guns. Yeah, those are heavy as hell, but they work like clockwork. They are very good on the beatings and stuff, and they would still work. The general like repairs we used to do was like changing like springs, some broken like pushback handles, like the firing handles and all that. Triggers sometimes would get like caught up on different things. The armory wouldn't usually have like them stationed properly. They would sometimes like have the firing handle like completely cocked, and like the springs are always at the tension, so it kind of weakens them after a while. We had to like check for those like on the regular. Check for ammunition expiration dates, check for other equipments, and cleaning them, of course. The usual equipments we kind of had on our daily, I'm gonna put some pictures of them, so for visual references and all that. The usual equipment for a conscript was an AK-47, 2 extra mags, usually a cuff, and a baton or a tonfa. My own preference was tonfas. They were extremely long batons with like a handle that goes out the side from like the middle. They're like extremely great to like use actually. Those were like the conscripts like usual equipment stuff, but sometimes in the missions you might get some pepper sprays, sometimes like tasers or something like that. But the officers didn't like carry any sort of like assault rifles. They carried pistols or handguns, right? They usually had revolvers, and what was the other one? It's a weird like handgun Colt thing hybrid. They call it the Zoff. It's a weird name. Yeah, I know. That's like the usual handgun that officers used to carry around. They still do, as far as I know. They carry like pepper sprays, shockers, tasers, different types of them, like handheld ones. They don't use the gun-shaped one, which is like throwing them. No, the hand ones are the ones that they use. They use pepper spray in like more ranged situations. Like they also had their own cuffs, the key to the cuffs, and sometimes extra equipment, but based on situations, it wouldn't usually go beyond that. The usual weapons that we had to work with were like AK-47s and the Zoff handguns, but we had a lot of like different weapons as well. Like we had the G3s, which is like a favorite in Iran. We have it like in ceremonial silver, which is like used for different parades and all that. Or we had like the chrome finish, metal finish on the G3. That was one of the other ones. If there are any groups that are tasked with like taking them out and it's not of a ceremonial one, they use the metal body ones, like the normal ones, right? But if they were using it for praise, they would use the silver ceremonial one. The AK-47, as I said, was like a favorite. There were also the Chinese and Russian versions of them. We had the ones with like non-removable like stocks, and those that would like fold into themselves. We had all those different types as well. As I said, Russian and Chinese ones were like the most prevalent ones we could find. The other jobs that I did during my conscription, let's see. The biggest one was like escort and patrol stuff, which is like, I'm just grouping it in one because the majority of it is just going around with cars, usually escorting someone or something, or just patrolling around a jurisdiction or a precinct per se, just to be on the lookout and everything. Those things were just good because you kind of got out of base, you could kind of go do your stuff afterwards. You usually got some extra time off because you were kind of this kind of because patrols and escort missions were counted as like mission times or missions specifically. You got some time off after each one, so you could go around, go do your own stuff, get some rest time and all that. So that was a good thing. Like you could going outside and just patrolling around is just way better than being in the old like base, always surrounded by the same walls and all that, right? I've done a lot of like different escort missions, but and I've escorted drugs to like our version of DEA. I've escorted like people or I've escorted people to hospitals, some like very, how should I say this, challenged ones or impaired ones to mental asylums and hospitals per se. I've escorted addicts by the order of the court because their families were like kind of against them using or anything, so they went to court, they kind of got a warrant for their arrest, they would arrest them, but because they haven't actually done anything wrong, because a user is not actually a dealer, so the user is more treated like a patient. They are like given court mandated like therapy sessions, so they have to check in as in a addiction camp, which helps them for like a few days, not few days, like it has like the baseline of a month, so they have to stay there. They cannot come out of it until they have reached the total time of their like addiction camp that was mandated for them. That's one of them that I have kind of did a lot of. Those escort missions were kind of sadly a lot more prevalent than I wanted them to be. I've escorted thieves and actual murderers to prisons. Thieves I would have like escorted by myself, but someone like a murder or an offensive or a violent crime, usually there would be more than 2 or 3 people with them. But thieves I would have been like by myself. Actually, I would just catch a cab or a car, or just go with one of our cop cars or police corp groups and just go with them to some extent to just work around these and see where that guy would handle. These works were usually done by judicials. You would escort them to judicial courts. The court would mandate a ruling, and you would take the prisoner, do the ruling. So sometimes they would have to go to prison, hospitals, or anywhere and anywhere. They would have to go somewhere or anywhere, so you would have to escort them then to that place. And that was the general consensus of it. I've also escorted deleted people, per se, being deleted in traffic accidents, and a lot of like different positions, different ages, different genders. I've actually escorted a lot of them. It just happens. It's nothing like to say like good stories about, but I've done those as well. But my best memories of conscription were of like late night patrols, because it would be like me, another officer, another conscript. I was like the middle seater. I usually like carried the equipment, while the other conscript was like the designated driver. They wouldn't usually have that many equipment. They would have like something baseline, not weapons, but like batons for like self-defense or something, and cuffs and all that. But the officer and I would be the usually fully armed people. We would usually go around the city just talking, saying like telling jokes, telling memories, stories. We kind of bonded a lot during those times. You know, you get to know a lot of people when you spend that much of a time in just a small confined space and just going around day after day. It was a kind of a fun cycle for us. I usually did the night shift, so it was 7 p.m. till 7 a.m. We only had like 2 chances to come in our own precinct. We had to be outside the precinct at all times. We were the 911 responders anyway. So if anything happens, like traffic accidents or someone catching someone calling us, we would be the ones that would respond and go to the designated location, right? All right, I ranted on enough. That's all for this video. So please like and support the original creators of this video. And if you like this one, maybe do the same for me. Goodbye.